What's up, 1973 podcast fans? Another early morning, another rink, another hockey tournament. Let's go. Hey everyone, you're watching
the 1973 podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It's the originals. It's like time has stood still. It's like back to episode 3, but much better, more polished, and a lot of miles traveled between here and there. So, fellas, here we go. It doesn't happen too often, but it's good when it does. It's the original 3, and I don't know how full this episode is going to be. It's going to have a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it's got the punch without certain individuals, Bradford, Chris, the Phantom, but we'll make it happen. So we're going to change up the format a little bit this week. We're going to start with our buddy, Chris, who couldn't make it tonight. His Cooking with Chris segment. And Thomas, give us a nice lead in.
All right. Cooking with Chris is brought to you by the book Loving Elliot, a fitting tribute to undying love, written by our very own Andy Clark. Available on Amazon.com. Elliot was the oldest special needs Jack Russell Terrier when he passed at age 21.
This is all true. True stories. So we're going to drop that in right here.
Guess who's back for another Cooking with Chris segment on the 1973 podcast. Today, we're going to do a lobster and shrimp pasta. All right, let's get it going. All right, here we go, guys. List of ingredients. You got to get yourself some Kerrygold butter. Don't be having that cheap Land O'Lakes crap in your fridge. Pay a little bit more and get good quality butter. Makes a difference, I promise. There's your lobster. That was fresh lobsters, live lobsters. I boiled them. I just got the meat ready and going. Here's some shrimp, completely deveined. Some fresh fettuccine. I like my fresh pasta rather than that box stuff too. I'm a little uppity up when it comes to my food. I like to eat good quality shit if you haven't noticed. But you can go with the plain stuff if you really want to. A lemon. I got a little bit of canned Alfredo. You could use heavy cream. I was going to use heavy cream. I just feel like the Alfredo, you can get a little bit more flavor out of it. A little bit of Old Bay seasoning. Sun-dried tomatoes. These things are great to add into your pasta dish. Garlic and a, what the hell is this damn thing called? A shallot, as Gordon Ramsay would say. Or a shallot. My bad, people. I'm still half asleep. And some fresh Parmesan Reggiano. You got to get the Parmesan Reggiano. All right, guys, I'll get it going. All right, we got the pot boiling there with water. Throw that fresh pasta in. We got the butter in the pan. We're going to turn this bad boy on. Bam. Your garlic, you're going to want to slice half of it up so you get some nice big slices of roasted garlic in there. And then the other half you want to chop it very finely. All right, we're going to throw that all in there and cook it. And then I'm going to get working on this shallot and put it in there as well. Shallot time. In goes the shallot. And then we're going to stir it all around a little bit. You're going to want that to sweat for about 1 minute would be good. Once you got a little color in there, time for some shrimp. Throw it right in there. Flatten them all out. Let them get nice and pink. Shrimp is changing, nice color. Grab that lobster. Drop it all in there. Mix it all up. And then we're going to turn this up to a high so we can deglaze the pan. We're going to season with salt, pepper, and a little bit of that Old Bay. All right, once you get that salt, pepper, and Old Bay in there, it should look something like this. Now this is for the more experienced. Just a couple of flips just to get everything all mixed in there. If not, use a little spoon. This makes a lot of mess, but I'm used to mess. I worked in the kitchen for many years, and all I do is make a mess, so it's all good. All right, that's looking sexy. I'm going to go get the wine. I forgot to mention wine in the ingredients in the beginning. A little bit of white wine. Pinot Grigio. Cheap white wine. Don't get anything expensive. You're just wasting your money. We're going to let that get to a nice temperature, and then I'm going to blast it with some wine. All right, it's 1 o'clock. This is called deglaze. Just a little bit. Don't go too crazy. Again, just get that toss. Let that burn off. That's going to give a nice, sweet flavor. Let that render down a little bit. We're going to come here. We're going to grab our fresh pasta. Throw it right in the boiling water. This shouldn't take long at all. A couple more ingredients left. Once that wine goes down, I'm going to toss in the Alfredo sauce, and I'll show you the rest in a second, guys. That is looking excellent. We're going to turn this down to medium. I'm going to come over here with the lemon. Give this a good squeeze right on top. Whole half of a lemon. Get everything out of there that you can. Toss it. Alfredo. Again, heavy cream or Alfredo. You just want a touch of this stuff. You don't want to go too crazy. You just want it to be slightly thick. Okay? We're going to mix this all up, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there it is. You got this nice creamy sauce. We're going to throw in about 6 or 7 sun-dried tomatoes. Mix it in. I'm just going to let it sit for like another minute just so these tomatoes soften up a bit. And then I'll show it to you when it's plated. All right, I got it semi-plated. We're going to come out here to my fresh little herb garden. I have the inside one as well. That one usually kicks ass in the winter time. I'm going to grab some basil. Basil's going to go good with all the flavors in this dish. Pluck out some fresh basil or buy some at your grocery store. We're going to do a little bit of a chiffonade, it's called. You got to get these culinary terms down. And I'm going to sprinkle it on top with a little bit of that Parmesan Reggiano. Again, this is Parmesan Reggiano. You know when it has the stamp in the back, that's the good stuff. There you go, guys. That's the finished product. Don't forget to sprinkle that basil on top. I'm going to get great flavor. Let me give this a try here. I'm just going to try a little piece of lobster. You'll love it, I promise.
So let's start talking about a major passing in the professional wrestling world this week. One of my all-time favorites, Kevin Sullivan. Boston guy, what a life. I mean, psychology 101 for wrestling. Let me tell you that my entry to Kevin Sullivan was maybe 8 years old. Probably, I want to say early 82, 83, around there. Bought the wrestling magazines. We're not talking about WWF magazines. We're talking Pro Wrestling Illustrated. We're talking Inside Wrestling. I saw Kevin Sullivan for the first time. And man, oh man, was I hooked. I didn't see any of the stuff from Florida until a little later on. But I did get Georgia Championship Wrestling at the time. Jim Crockett Promotions a little while after that. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe how, when it was kayfabe, how much of a villain character Kevin Sullivan was with the whole, was it devil worship? You know, the snake before Jake the Snake, you know, slapping around the fallen angel who ended up being, you know, Nancy Sullivan, Nancy Benoit. I thought as a kid she was so hot. You never saw somebody come to the ring dressed like that. Man, I got a chance to meet him, and they say never meet your heroes was absolutely incorrect with him. he must have known that I was like an old school fan. We started talking about angles and stuff I remembered, and asked me where I was from. I told him where I was from in Massachusetts, and man, we just had a connection and we talked for a good, I don't know, want to say 10 minutes. There was hardly no line. The professor met him with me. Couldn't have been nicer. Great memories of Kevin Sullivan. Why I could probably do a whole podcast episode about, how his influence probably created the Undertaker character and all those dark characters after it. When he went to WCW in the late 80s and he was part of the Varsity Club, it wasn't the same. And then the Taskmaster gimmick with, when Hogan got to WCW just wasn't the same. That whole deal with Mark Lewin and the Purple Haze, and it was just out of this world as a 10 11-year-old kid, just mind-blowing stuff. So great memories of Kevin Sullivan. I wish I had more time and could show some videos on here without getting flagged, but great stuff. Thomas, thoughts on the passing of Kevin Sullivan?
I got to tell you, when you're a kid watching that shit, he would actually scare you watching it. I mean, like you say, he played that character perfectly. Where, like you say, you didn't really know if he was a real devil worshiper, and he's proof that you don't need a heavyweight belt to get over, because he really didn't ever win. I think he won the NWA Florida Championship once, but singles wise, he didn't really win a whole lot of singles belts, and he didn't need it. He got over. He was just a great wrestler, and he knew how to act with it. But the big thing is that you don't really hear a lot of people talk about is the booking. He was really good booking. I just heard Eric Bischoff say this week after he passed that Kevin Sullivan was a huge reason why they beat WWE in 82 weeks or 83 straight weeks. So he gave him his flowers. Unfortunately, it was after he passed, but I mean, he's a big part of wrestling.
Ed, thoughts on Kevin Sullivan?
Well, man, for anybody that was out there, to piggyback on what Tom said and to piggyback on what you said, to elicit that emotion as a young kid, he scared the hell out of you. Especially going to a Catholic school and being raised that way. And man, I was like, dude, this dude's like really like the devil, and he elicited that reaction out of you. And it was just, it was so real, and I did a little research on him. I had no idea that he was involved with the Honky Tonk Man back in the day when he was in the territory. I had no idea. My mind was blown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was with Jimmy Hart and Wayne Ferris, and he was all into bodybuilding at the time. And it wasn't until he came back to Florida in like 82. He did a angle that started that devil gimmick turn, where he had been tag team champions with Mike Graham in the 70s, left, did like a Memphis run. He did a Georgia championship wrestling run like around 1980. But when he got back around like late 82, you can go back and watch everything in clips now on YouTube. It's fantastic. He showed up and, starts complaining to Mike Graham while there was a tournament for one of the titles. I'm not sure if it was the Southern title or the Florida one of them. And he lost to Barry Windham. And he starts freaking out and blaming like Mike Graham and everything like that. And he busts Mike Graham open at the podium with Gordon Soley. And like every week after that, Mike Graham's like, this isn't the Kevin Sullivan that I remember when he left and we were buddies and whatever. And they actually filmed a video of Steve Keirn previous to Kevin Sullivan showing up back in Florida after being gone for like 4 years, of Steve Keirn warning them that he's not the same guy, but he still looked the same. But every week he turned, they did it so good, like that slow build. Like every week he was a little bit more like different, like wacky, like slow heel turn until that full, like,
with a total blow at the end of it. Yeah.
But one of the best interviews that I can remember him giving out of character when they were doing the shoot thing, and when everybody was starting to learn about the inside of wrestling stuff. he said when Mark Lewin got there, which is another great character, when he got there, he said to Kevin Sullivan, "Do you want to do this correct?" And Kevin Sullivan's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Of course I want to do it correct." He goes, "Everywhere we go, we're wearing those ropes." He goes, "Everywhere we go." So he said they would be like at 3 o'clock in the morning, leaving like one show, driving home in Florida. He'd have the purple robe on, and Kevin Sullivan would have the black robe on in the car. And if they got pulled over, they stayed in character. If they went to eat, they stayed in character when the waiter came. So just imagine that. You're in a restaurant, Waffle House or whatever. And here comes the girl at 3 o'clock in the morning. And these two bananas are dressed like that. And, one guy's like swaying in the chair, asking for, bacon and eggs. Fantastic, dude. They just don't make that stuff like that anymore. Like Tom said, less is more, scare the shit out of people. Blur that line between reality and fiction. And funny story about Kevin Sullivan before we move on. Kevin Sullivan had to let Hulk Hogan sleep at his house the night before the NWO turn because they were so worried that Hogan was not going to do it that he had to sleep at Kevin Sullivan's house the night before Bash at the Beach just so that he could promise Hogan nothing was going to happen. You're going to turn heel. And he had to stay at Kevin Sullivan's house so nobody else would influence him not to turn. Isn't that a crazy story?
That's a crazy story, man.
The man. And Kevin Sullivan, like I said before, and not to cut off Ed, there would be no Undertaker without Kevin Sullivan.
I agree 100%.
And
I agree 100%. And to know that he booked the way that he booked to push WCW over WWE, which was WWF at the time, and to know that he did that, and to know how good of a booker he was. But man, even to this day, it's like, man, he really just, even like, man, I'm old, and I think back to, man, that dude scared the hell out of me when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11. Like, when I first started really getting into wrestling, man, I'd stay up on the Zenith TV on the floor in the bedroom that I'm probably radioactive from, like back in the day, and and all of a sudden ECW would come on, like what? I think it was either like TV 56 or TV 64 or TV 38 at like midnight. And I'm like sitting there watching. I caught my first glimpse like Bruiser Brody and Kevin Sullivan and all these guys. My first glimpse of Gordon Soley. I mean, that's what I remember about Kevin Sullivan. And some of the things that went on later on in life. That whole kind of tie-in with Benoit and stuff like that. Kind of sad.
Yeah, kind of sad. A lot of stuff we'll never know now. Probably better off not just. I'll say, like I said, when I met him, nothing but cool. Nothing bad to say. Experience was top notch with him, and I'm just glad I had a chance to meet him before. But great. Not to get off on a Kevin Sullivan tangent, but don't forget, one of Dusty's best feuds of all time was with Kevin Sullivan. The Golden Spike pushed Blackjack Mulligan out of the way, so he took the spike, the best. Brought Billy Graham back into the fold in Florida. Kind of resurgence of Billy Graham after the karate gimmick, where they tied him to the tree of woe, 40 days and 40 nights in the desert to get purged from the evil of the Kevin Sullivan army. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Good stuff. It's all on YouTube. There's a guy on there that's got 3 volumes of The Army of Darkness with Kevin Sullivan. Watch it. If you've never seen some of the stuff, badassery. A lot of these younger guys can learn a lot. That less is more. And it's not always about your character. It's about storytelling. And you can create good characters from that. So let's move on. Rest in peace, Kevin Sullivan. So, Thomas, your turn. Time for some shitty picks with your USA gold medals. Buy
the shirts. Stop being so cheap. Buy the shirts. Come on.
Support the podcast. Buy a shirt. Buy a hat. Stop being cheap.
Hey, look, and we even have mugs too for all these people in the north. Like, come on, you drink coffee all the time. Buy the mugs. Come on.
Right.
All right. Tom's Shitty Picks is brought to you by Brock Street Brewing Company, located at 244 Brock Street South in Whitby, Ontario. Everything they brew is in-house, including their beers, seltzers, vodka sodas, and the hard iced teas. So if you're in the Whitby area, go check them out and tell them the 1973 podcast sent you. All right, we're going to recap, as Andy said. A couple weeks ago, my pick was the Team USA to win the medal count, and that's like they're kicking ass there. They've up to the second. They've got 122 medals. China's in second with 90. The only thing, U.S. and China, they're close in gold medals. China's got 39 gold so far. USA has 38. USA still has a few events tomorrow that they're in the gold medal match, so they should overtake them for that. So it should look pretty good there. Now, this week, I'm going to go back to baseball. I can start getting close to football. I'll be able to start doing some football fantasy too. But for this week, I'm going to go with first baseman Freddie Freeman, and it's kind of a sentimental pick because he missed the last week and a half of from the All-Star game up until about 3 or 4 days ago. He left the team, took a personal leave. His 3-year-old son got diagnosed with a neurological disorder. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but Guillain-Barré syndrome. And he ended up in the hospital on a ventilator, and he actually lost all feeling. He was paralyzed for a few days. They had to vent him. Was at a great hospital in Los Angeles, and he's better now. He got out of the hospital 2 days ago, so he's on the right track. But Freddie Freeman said that the kid's only 3, and Freddie Freeman said that he's going to have to relearn how to walk right now because he was in pretty bad shape. But this week, Freddie Freeman, since he's been back, he's been on a tear. He's played like 4 games, and he's got, I think, 6 hits in 4 games. He's got a 7-game week this week. He's playing 4 against Milwaukee and 3 against St. Louis. I think he's playing for his son right now. I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman.
Good pick, Thomas. Good pick. I like it. Good pick. So it's time for you guys to fill the void. Here's where I step back, take a little break, let you guys talk about that Bobby Boucher foosball. So what do you guys want to talk? NCAA, talk NFL? Let's go.
We'll go with that. We'll go with NFL because college really hasn't even started much with workouts, so there's not much news there. But first thing I want to ask Ed about is what does he think about the Pats releasing Juju Smith-Schuster 2 days ago now? And so they're going to be eating $7 million because it was guaranteed money, and they're only saving themselves $647,000. So what do you think?
I just think I mean the sniff test was the other night on TV. They were so vanilla on TV. It's hard to make a decision on that. I think part of it is that it really is just a complete it's a total rebuild year. They look competitive. I mean, quite frankly, their 2s and 3s look better than the other 2s and 3s. But I mean, it's one of those things where, there's not a lot of talent left in the cupboards, if you will. Judon is probably about the only really big name that they have right now on both sides of the ball. And I think it's a complete rebuild, and they could be, it could be like what Parcells did back in the day. It's a team of Jags, just another guy right now. And like a lot of young talent. And, and the thing about it is just like, I for myself personally, after living through, the 80s with the Patriots, where it was there was a year that they went to the Super Bowl against the Bears and got killed. And
Tony Eason, gotta love it.
Hey, I mean, look, the thing about it is just that, there were other quarterbacks in that draft, and we chose Tony Eason. I mean, hey, I'm sitting on a couch with white walls now, not divorce yellow. But still, that being said, and he played in the National Football League. However, it's one of those things, and to have that 20-year run like the Patriots had, really 25 years, really, because it went the Parcells, and then they took a little bit of a dip with the Pete Carroll years, with the whole Bobby Greer stuff going on then, and then Belichick and Brady came in, and it really, and to have that 25 years, hey, there's a point where there has to be a rebuild. and the greatest coach of all time and the greatest quarterback of all time, they leave your organization, there's going to be a void. So I can live what they're doing. They're much smarter than I am. I'm on a couch. They're doing it for real. They're paying, Robert's paying them real good money to do what they do. So, I mean, the thing about it is that maybe he was a cancer in the locker room, and maybe he just wasn't a good team guy. And why would you leave a Super Bowl team being the Chiefs? That's my question.
I just want to interject here for a minute, and I just want to say that, Ed, we're not going to generate any views with you being like that. If we want vanilla, that's what we got going solely for. We need you to be Captain Lou Albano. That's what we need. We don't need two Gordon Solis don't work. We need Captain Lou and Gordon Soli. Thomas, you got the market cornered. You are our true north. You bring it home. You got the stats. You're right in the middle.
I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, like, I can't say anything. That's the
we don't
facts,
need the guy.
man.
We don't need that guy on the couch. We don't need that guy on the couch.
The cream rises to the top. I can't make it the garbage one.
We're here to generate views, Ed. Just think about that.
I mean, you do realize that I have a thunderstorm going on after you said that, right?
As long as you don't have pants on, at least we're there.
I have matter of fact, I have a pair of Brooks running shorts on, actually, and they're quite comfy. Thanks.
There you go. So finish your foosball talk.
My next question is with the what's your opinion on Brendan Ayuk? I guess he kind of put the kibosh on the trade to both Cleveland and the Patriots. He doesn't want to play for him. I guess both teams had deals worked out with the 49ers, so they gave both teams permission to start talking contract with Ayuk, and I guess he basically told him he didn't come out and say he didn't want to play for them, but I guess his contract demands were to the point where he was telling them he didn't want to play with them, and I guess he wants somewhere in the $30 to $35 million a year range. So that's when the Patriots backed out anyway. Like 2 or 3 days ago.
Since I've been called out, I'm gonna start off by saying this: stop being a bitch and come on. Okay, I'll just start off by saying that. All right.
Let's go.
Now I will say this: why are you being a problem on a team like the 49ers?
Oh,
why? Why are you being a problem? You have gone to 2 Super Bowls. What is your problem? Shut up. Like you're getting paid. Like you're telling me that you can't work a deal with the front office with like Procter and Gamble for a Tide commercial, and you're telling me that you can't like make a deal for bounty sheets or something like that. You're telling me that you can't go out and you can't make a deal with brawny paper towels or something to give this guy a deal to keep him on your team? Come on, bro. I mean, you have a whole valley of wine that you could invite this guy to your winery and like he could hand sell your wine. I mean, come on, man. Like, there's many options that you can get this guy paid. Now, the thing about it is, in my personal opinion, like to go off of what Andy said a few weeks ago, these contracts are getting ridiculous. They are ridiculous. You're paying these guys too much guaranteed money, and they don't show up. And so, the bottom line is, it's like, stop paying these guys so much money. But the thing is, what's that?
Sorry, go ahead. No,
I was just saying. I mean, look at your team. I mean, they're up 14-7 against the 49ers right now.
In that vein, with guaranteed money, I want to ask you about CeeDee Lamb's hold with the 49ers. I mean, with the Cowboys right now. He's still under contract. He's got 1 year left, and he's getting $17.9 million for this year, but he's holding out because he wants somewhere in the $30 million range.
Well, the thing is that since the resident Cowboy fan is not here tonight, I'll answer for him. How's that?
2 of them. Don't forget, 2 of them.
That's true. There's 2 of them. That's 2.
Yep.
Dose. Bottom line is that I love Jerry Jones' answer. I loved it. I'm not in any rush because he's under contract.
Yeah.
And the thing is like you're telling me the man that has connections with Pepsi and AT&T that you can't get this man, like you can't, look bro, just show up to camp. We'll we'll make something happen for you. Okay, come on. Like Jerry's look for anybody that doesn't think that Jerry doesn't know what he's doing. Jerry knows exactly what he's doing. I'll tell you this: I'd go work for the man tomorrow, and here's why: because the man took all of his money and pushed it to the center of the table when he bought the Cowboys, and said, "That's all I got." And I hope these checks cash for the players on Monday, because I don't know if they're going to. And it's the most profitable and the most expensive franchise out there right now. So, like, dude, these guys are asking for it. They're changing the rules to keep you safer. I'd like to see some of this money make it down to like the guys that don't make it the 4 years to get vested into the pension. That's what I'd like to see.
Cowboys have an interesting offseason coming up next year because they've got CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Dak, all free agents. So
I'm going to tell you this right now: Dak can go bye-bye.
You can get rid of him, but who you got to have somebody to take his place. Now they do have Trey Lance.
There's got to be somebody in college right now that's you got to have somebody. Well, the funny thing is Justin Fields will be available.
Now I only have.
I mean,
so go ahead.
No, the thing about it is just like because the thing is that the Steelers gave up a ton. Well, they didn't give up a ton. They really wanted to get Russell Wilson, okay? And for a 6th rounder, we'll give you a 6th rounder for Justin Fields. Hell yeah. That's a no-brainer. The guy is one in the NFL, and maybe he needed to go into a culture like Pittsburgh and like calm him down a little bit. And the thing is just like if Justin Fields goes to Dallas and Mike McCarthy's there, not a bad thing. Mike McCarthy knows how to deal with quarterbacks. Well, and if Mike McCarthy gets fired, Belichick or Deion Sanders is going to be there.
My last football thing, I don't know if you saw any of the rookies quarterbacks so far, but what do you think of Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, and Michael Penix, how they start? You didn't see a lot of what they could do, but JJ McCarthy, granted he was playing against 2s and 3s, but threw 2 touchdowns. He had like almost 200 yards passing.
Did he? I told him I didn't see it. I haven't really watched very much football this week. I've been kind of incapacitated this week. I've been I've put a lot
Debbie.
I put a lot of windshield time in this week.
JJ McCarthy had the big game today.
Did he? I've spent a lot. Let's just say I've driven the Panhandle quite a bit this week.
And Jaden Daniels had a pretty good start too. He only played 1 series, but he had 45 yards passing and running the ball. He did really well. He actually scored a rushing touchdown. So that's all I got for football. See.
Well, I'm just going to circle back, Tom, and I'm going to ask you this: how do you feel about having rookies play in the NFL? Because typically, when rookies play, they get their ass kicked and they throw a ton of interceptions, and it breaks their confidence down. One exception to that rule is Peyton Manning. How do you feel about that?
I would absolutely throw him out there and play him trial by fire. Look at Troy Aikman. The guy took an absolute beating when he played with with Cowboys for a few years before they actually built the team around him good enough where they became a dynasty. And by that time, he had his game under. He knew what to expect. He wasn't afraid to get hit. Like, talk about the Pats. I'd throw Drake May out there. He only played 1 series in the game. To me, if you're going to waste a 1st-round pick on a quarterback, play him. See, I'm all in. Let play and see what they can do.
Well, I'm going to go back. I'm going to counter your point on that, on him. All the film that you've watched about him and everything like that is that he really needs a year to learn. And the thing about it is that if you watch when they're on draft day and Belichick wasn't ripping him. He was actually saying it's like he's going to work on these things because in the NFL, you need to do that. And the thing is, I think with him, he needs to sit a little bit because he played plenty of games when he was in North Carolina. He's got plenty. He took plenty of snaps.
I would say. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that some guys, if they played a lot in college, taking a year to sit isn't a bad thing in the NFL. I mean, think about this, and I think I've used this analogy before. Like when you play college football, and this is coming straight from college football coaches. This isn't Ed on the couch, in Divorce Yellow anymore. This is real. Like when you in NCAA, when you throw the football, you're throwing it through a window that's open, and that window stays open when you throw the ball. In the NFL, when you throw that football, you're throwing through a window that's opening and closing because you're getting the best of the best. And so, like, the thing about it is, it's not a bad thing to actually have him sit in the film room and actually learn for what he's seeing. The NFL game is a very different game because everybody's the best at their position. It's just like when we used to go out back in the day to Lupo's or whatever, to the Strand, and we'd be driving in the car and be like, this guy sucks. And we're like, dude, we're driving in a car to go to Lupo's. We're going to the Strand for $1 beers. I mean, come on now. You know what I mean?
only before 10. If you can get there before 10.
That's right.
So I would normally agree with you, Ed, but the Jacoby Brissett, there's a reason he's been a backup his whole career. If you had a better quarterback than Drake May, I would say throw him in there and let May sit. But to me, May's already better than Brissett.
Well, but my thing is that he's an older quarterback and he's a professional. He's going to teach him how to be a professional quarterback, and that's invaluable to a rookie.
AC,
cream rises to the top, Thomas.
All right, so let me add to this football talk. It's more of a rant, okay? So I am a huge, since day one, none of these fly-by-nighters, Sega Genesis, NHL 1992, the very first one, bought the system to play it, been a fan ever since. A lot of stinky years, well, bear with me on this rant. NCAA college football comes out after not being a product for a number of years. So they bring it back out. There's a downloading tab on there where you can download on this game all the high school rosters in the entire country on the fucking NHL 24, 23, 22. I can't even get a fucking goalie mask edit on that. I can't customize a fucking goalie mask, but on the college football, you can download.
That's copyrighted by Killer Industries and by Podcast 1973.
It's freaking garbage. You mean to tell me you get the technology to go download any high school in the entire US of A, but you cannot create a tab to edit a team goalie mask that you've used the same goalie mask since like 2002. Every year you change goalies, new goalies come up. You're playing with the same mask with Sorokin, Henrik Lundqvist, Mike Richter, the same Rangers goalie mask since like the early 2000s. Come on, EA. Drop some technology with the hockey and let's fucking go. So there's my rant for the day. That pisses me off.
My gears.
Grinds my gears.
So speaking of gear grinding, Ed, we have no email this week.
That's correct.
So we usually drop in an interview that we've done. So let's talk about our sponsor, Goon Guard, and then we'll talk about the interview we did this week. Take it away, Edwin.
Check them out. Goonguard.com. Check them out. Best mouthpiece around. There's 2 in the bag. It's great. Best mouthpieces.
New stuff. Well, let me pause you right there. New stuff coming soon from Goon Guard. We'll talk about it when it happens, but new stuff on the horizon with them. So, Ed, talk about this very nice interview that the 3 of us were able to sit in with this week. The floor is yours, Edwin.
Well, I'd like to introduce my friend, my former colleague at the running store, Adele Bonifants Lassus. See, nailed it on the first time, man. Check that out, huh? Right in the chin, huh? Right in the chin. Because the cream rises to the top, baby. Anyway, she's a great friend of mine. She's wonderful. She did a great interview with us. She is looking to start her kind of coaching towards the athletic business, that type of thing. She's a wonderful woman. She has done quite a few marathons. She's done a ton of half marathons. She's an incredible swimmer and overall just a wonderful person. I'm very, very lucky to call her as a friend and a personal confidant of mine. And I can never thank her enough for everything that she's ever done for me. And she's just a wonderful person and a wonderful woman. And we're going to probably drop her in right about here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special interview segment for the 1973 podcast. We're here with hopefully a friend of the show. That's what I always like to say going forward. Our friend Adele Bonifant Lassus. I know I screwed that up. No, I did my best. I couldn't throw any, French twang in there, no French toast, no French quarter, no French fries, nothing. So you get what you get, but we're happy to have you. So Adele, Ed says that you've watched the show before. Thoughts on the show before we get rolling?
Yes. When he told me y'all were doing this, first of all, there are things that I'm totally blown away by comments and the quips and the ingenious responses that each of y'all have. But I used to watch wrestling with my brothers when they were young. Hulk Hogan, Junkyard Dog, that era, right? So I'm not up to speed on all the WrestleMania now. And I told Ed that the other day, but it's very curious to me how y'all speak of everybody. Second thing is, I'm a true diehard Saints fan. I made sure you knew that. So when y'all are talking about the different sports and hockey, we used to have a team in New Orleans called the Brass. When my kids were young, I used to take them to almost every game. We found out more and more about hockey, and then, of course, it disappeared. So we haven't had hockey as a part of our sports ensemble, really, except when they were young. And Adam's 34 now, so he was probably in his early teens at the time. So it's been a long time. So I know a little bit about hockey, but much more from the mouth of the South there when we were working together. So yeah, but I actually really like the show. It's beyond me, my comprehension at times because of your demographics, but I really have enjoyed it the last few weeks that I've been listening.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people that watch, but they don't want to admit that they watch because I get to see some analytics on YouTube. And, it's funny because you kind of draw the conclusions of who's watching, but they never want to admit that they watch or they watch hoping to see it fail or they're not rooting for you. So, I'll take the hate. We love the hate. I mean, especially the emails when we get them. I mean, I comb through all the emails almost every week. And, there's some stuff that I could never even just bring on the show and talk about because it either get too heated or it would get too, too sideways with the commentary. And so, yeah, good stuff. So the floor is yours. Why don't you let everybody know how we got to this point and how Ed asked you to come on the show.
So for the audience, Ed, who is the mouth of the South, and I met, 9 years ago. And we started working together at Run and Try, which y'all know he worked at Run and Try really from the Slidell area all the way back into Gulfport to just recently. And we became fast friends because I was hired first to do some part-time work. And all he was told when he was hired as manager was, can you work with a 57-year-old lady? So he said, I can work with anybody. She'd be like my mom. And I'm like, okay.
There was a joke in there, but I'll just leave it for another time.
Yeah, leave it like for another time. But once we met and he taught me a lot. We talked all the time, really got to develop an incredibly deep, very unconditional relationship and friendship. And through thick and thin, we both went through some very difficult periods during the times we were working together. As y'all know, you've known him a long time. So I got to know Suzanne and Big Ed through stories and all the family history. And it was a remarkable opportunity for me to be there physically for Ed when his mom was so ill before her passing, when he left to go to her services and when he came back. And it was really a struggle, but it meant a lot to me to be that person that he could come to and rely on and know that he was loved and cared for and truly understood what he was going through. So that was a moment in my life that I'll treasure. And whenever I have to call him down, I'm like, I'm going to call Suzanne. She has a direct line to me to tell you what to tell you. So it's a connection that we've had. And he's been there for me through thick and thin, became fast friends with my son and daughter. And we stayed in touch with one another really just because of the friendship. And so that's where we started. And with the run and try history, I've been an athlete all my life. He taught me a lot about the things he did on the sales end. And we just kept bringing people into the community, and we were hoping the business would survive. And unfortunately it didn't. So we went our separate ways after that, job-wise, but maintained our friendship. So that's how we actually got here. And Ed knows the history of a lot of things that I've been doing since I wasn't working at Run and Try. So if we want to delve into that, we can, or I can tell you a little bit more about me, because I have no problem telling you about me.
Well, just tell us a little bit, for people that don't know you, like me and Tom, just tell us more about your background and how you got, some of your sports background and how you ended up competing and life coaching and all that other stuff, and 3 different nicknames and aliases and, witness protection and time with the mafia and Whitey Bulger and all that stuff.
So I grew up, I've always been an athlete. Started running and just participating in all the childhood sports that we did. And I had a little talent for the track and field. So I did that, but I was a really competitive tennis player. So any of the running I did through high school and through college was really to supplement being on the tennis court. And I was a championship level. I traveled, was ranked in Louisiana, ranked in the South for many years, and especially into my adult years. Played all the way through till just a few years ago. But I competed really on the circuit and into my early right till about 60. I'm 66 now. I'll be 67 in the end of the year. But high level, all championship level, singles, doubles, and mixed. So I would be on the tennis court 7 or 8 matches from Thursday to Sunday, because I was usually in the semis and the finals for all 3 divisions. So that's where the running actually started, was to supplement the tennis. And then I just fell in love with it. So I'm a veteran of 12 marathons. I counted up my half marathons last year, because I don't compete or run them as regularly as I did. And I have 453 half marathons. And that's the 13.1 mile distance. And then I can't even tell you how many 10Ks, but I have run the Crescent City Classic, which is our New Orleans 10K, the day before Easter. It is 48 years old. I have run it 44 times. And the only reason I missed the first 4, I was finishing LSU and also working on my master's at Oklahoma State for 2 years. So I wasn't in town. And I've run it every year since. So I can't be anywhere else except New Orleans on Easter weekend. I run that race. And then the 5Ks were all supplemental runs, and I was competitive for a while, but not anymore. So now I do a lot more walking. I do the cycling and the swimming. I'm not playing a lot of tennis at all right now for the last few years. So I'm not a triathlete like our illustrious fearless leader over here. As far as competitive, I just use all 3 sports to stay healthy. No, not you, Andy, Ed.
It's like the coleslaw you get with your fish and chips.
But I will tell you this.
See, Adele, I gotta put up with these guys, because these were the guys that told me to bring my hockey gear when my mom passed away. These two were the 2 ringleaders for it, and I can never thank them enough for that. So I'll take being coleslaw every now and again,
Oh, I got you. I think they're 2 of the guys that are in the picture that you showed me that y'all took, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that picture. That's a cool
Me too.
picture. It's one of the few pictures that we shared from way back then when we had a chance. But to be honest with you, have you ever seen Ed in a tri suit when he's competing? Took my breath away. I'm just
Wow. I just saw a lot of camel toe and I said I can't look. I just said I can't look. Too many marbles in one bag. I can't do it. Can't do
I think
it.
it goes back to those salmon colored pants.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what, guys, y'all can rock them because you're real men, right? You're real men. You can rock the pink.
I've been told otherwise by a lot of people.
Okay. Okay. Well, so my fitness life is really my lifestyle, the fitness and the healthy lifestyle. And I am a cancer survivor. So it truly got me through. I battled cervical and uterine cancer from the age of 30 to 40, which was very proactive on my part. I didn't have any children, and cervical and uterine cancer really is a death sentence if you want to have children. But 35 years ago, 36 years ago, with my diagnosis, what I did was have surgeries every couple of months, then some major surgeries. In the interim of all that, I was extremely blessed to have both of my children during those 10 years, which I wasn't even supposed to be here past the age of 40. I'm 26, almost 27 years clear of cancer now. So every day is truly a gift. That's why I wake up every day to cause trouble for somebody. Doesn't matter who it is, it's gonna happen. I just know it. So that has a lot to do with my lifestyle, and it has a lot to do with the different things I've done. So my education base was in the human resources, family counseling, marriage and family counseling, a lot of communication therapy, the sex therapy that goes along with the relationship therapy, all of that. Behavioral sciences was really the forte of my master's program in undergrad in psychology and sociology. The reason I got into life coaching and the high performance coaching a few years ago, life changes. I wasn't working at the time. I was working part-time actually for some friends, just trying to make ends meet. And I was approached when I really needed the most to go into that field. And Ed knows my kids, and he says, Mom, you do this all the time. Why don't you go ahead and establish an income producing career with it? So with our nutrition business, I've been very, very well versed in the fitness and nutrition business that we have. My son has. So we transform lives every day. We transform lives in that arena. So the high performance coaching and the life skills coaching and all the empowering and encouraging and motivational things that I do is now in a little package. And what happens with that package is I have a framework that I work within when I'm doing some one-on-one or some group coaching. I'm still developing a clientele in that, but it's the frameworks to really develop anything from clarity and focus and confidence, productivity, time management is some skills that I help people develop in the business arena or personal arena. It's not about an age group, but demographically speaking, when you get into your 30s and 40s and you might be raising kids or you're trying to establish new careers, you tend to lose the focus of good habits because you're so distracted. And that's one of the things that's going on with all the things in the world today and social media and all of the things that really just crowding on your head. You can get very distracted from being really your best self. Your best version of yourself would be a typical phrase that we like to use in that particular industry. So what I try to do is help people really find that. I'm not a therapist. I don't use my therapy and counseling training in this arena because I would have to be licensed as that, and I'm not. And if I find that someone comes to me and says, I really need some help in this particular area, I'll know definitely they need a licensed practicing psychotherapist or counselor or therapist. So I have people that I can refer them to, but I'm basically not in that arena as far as therapy and psychotherapy. So beyond that, with the motivational and empowering speaking stuff, I've got several platforms that are adaptable to young kids, teenagers. Some of them are in the Christian schools, some are in the public schools. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of them are athletes that I can really promote the ideas of perseverance and endurance and commitment. If I do any coaching with them and use a framework, say focus and visualization and things like that in that arena, then it's going to be specific to what they're trying to accomplish, right? We've got the Olympics going on now. If you talk to any of the Olympic athletes, they've got psychology coaches, fitness coaches, nutrition coaches. They've got their sports skills, agility, strength, sports specific coaches. They've got the whole package, and they need it now to be competitive at the level that they're competitive. The people that I'm going to come mostly in contact with might be moms trying to get healthier after they've raised their kids and they've kind of not paid attention to where they are. They don't only need some fitness and nutrition valuable information and guidance and accountability. What they also need is somebody to encourage them beyond kids and husbands or families, because they didn't get it all along, right? Need to change the mindset. Need to say, hey, I can only be good for you if I'm good to myself. And I'm worthy to be good to myself. I deserve to be good to myself. And I don't have to care what anybody thinks. So if you can help people realize that their personal skills, their personal beauty inside and out is the direction they should take to make their life its best possible, take its best possible path, that's things I can help them with. And I love doing that kind of motivational and empowering speaking, because if you reach one person and it changes their ability to see the direction they can go in, they might accomplish something that they never thought they could. And they might be able to bring that to somebody else down the road. And I like to share a story that I had. Ed knows I loved running the marathon and half marathon in Disney. And I did that marathon. It was my actually second marathon back in January of 1989. And it wasn't even this Run Disney program they had. I mean, they didn't even have the things that they've obviously developed in the last, 30 years. So the biggest thing is that over the years, I've run the Princess Half Marathon there, and I've come to know people over the years that I look for at all the different marathons and half marathons that I've traveled to run. And there was a lady that showed up. It was 10 years ago at the Disney Half Marathon. She was a very large lady. She was walking with a crutch. It had been storming in the Boston area and snowing, and she had one day to get from the Boston area to Disney World in Florida. And I just happened to come up to her. I had a bunch of magnets I carry around that I pass out to people and encourage them. And I just got to know her standing at a vendor's booth. And I gave her one of my magnets that says, "The miracle is not that I finished, but that I had the courage to start." It's a quote that probably y'all have seen, but I buy 12 of those magnets and I give them out to people that I get to meet and say, hey, think about me. I'll be looking for you on the race route. Put in your car, put in your refrigerator, because you did it. You got here, and all you did was take the first step by walking out your door and tying up your shoes months before that day. This lady has contacted me every February with a text or a message of some sort. Hey, Adele, it's Barbara from Boston. Thank you so much for encouraging me that day. The magnet is still on my refrigerator. We had a conversation, and she was a very large lady, walked with a crutch, and I said, what are you planning to do tomorrow? She says, well, I'm going to do the 5K walk with my husband, the 10K walk by myself with just people from her area that she met, and I'm going to be walking the half marathon by myself, now with a crutch. Now that's a lot of miles. That's 19 point something miles total, because that's what I always did too. And the beauty of that is that I'm this really fit, I was in my 50s, really fit, obviously seasoned runner and athlete. And to this day, she finished all 3 races, still shoots me a happy February Princess Weekend text, because we made a connection. She now has several grandchildren. She is no longer as overweight as she is. And that moment made a difference to her. She has no idea the difference it made to me. So the rewards of what I share come back to me 1,000-fold. So that's why I'm in that arena now. And it's been a very rewarding. I'm still trying to build a financial income base and stability base from it, but it's an ongoing process. So that's where I am now.
Kelly, so where would you like to take this in the next 1 to 3 years? What do you have, some sort of a business plan? Were you thinking about maybe doing a podcast and stuff like that to kind of help build that in?
Actually, yes, and that's part of the speakers forum that I'm following. I connected with a couple of very, very seasoned, established speaking, not coaches so much as they do coach people to do speaking formats, but they love me because I'm just extemporaneous and impromptu. But I've connected with them, so they're leading me in a direction where I can get on stage is actually the best thing to do, or get in front of an audience. So with the speakers area, I've got that. And of course, I'm developing my topics. But with the coaching arena, I've got an opportunity to create a podcast. And I've got some directions now that will lead me into developing that. And the beauty of that is, you guys know, y'all try to do about an hour or so normally when you do your podcast, sometimes a little bit more, a little bit less. You can do something for as easy as like 10 minutes and get a message across and start to develop a following. And from that, always offer, get on a call with me, or discovery call, get to know me better, get to know you better. Would you be interested in any other types of coaching or informational or speaking formats? So that's going to be key. Of course, y'all have done this now for a couple of years, so you know what's involved in getting it going. The other part is getting together with colleagues that I've met over the last couple of years, which I met with a good friend of mine today. She's actually in the Florida area, had been in Portland, Oregon, and we had a little mastermind of about 6 of us. She's a business coach, and talking with her today, she gave me some extremely good leads on some things that I can use to build the coaching clientele on the technology part. And I'm challenged on technology. Challenged.
You just proved your point. We heard it
Yeah.
with the phone ringing.
Yeah, well, actually, that was that I turned the phone off. That was an alarm to remind me about something that happens every Tuesday, and I forgot to take it off when I set the alarm to make sure I got on the Zoom with you guys. But being challenged technologically means I can resource those responsibilities out, and it's a gift. All I need to do, show me how to do it, turn it on and turn it off, and somebody else can do the rest. So yes, and Ed, thank you for leading that question, because I'm taking daily steps forward to develop the business part of it to a much greater degree.
Well, Deli, would you like to have like maybe some more younger athletes and stuff like that you could help, via Zoom and stuff like that? And would you, because pretty much with our demographics that we have with the podcast here, we are 96.5%. I'm sorry, 95.5% male-driven audience. So there's a lot of dads on here that maybe want their sons or daughters to maybe kind of take it to the next level. I mean, because last week we had Keely Smith on from Sacred Heart University, so we're trying to kind of gear it towards a little bit, maybe helping some youngsters with their athletics and that type of thing, and a lot of mindset stuff. Taking it to the next level. That's a huge thing that a lot of the pros do as well.
Right. And you can do it sports specific, because you can take somebody who's doing track and field and take somebody who's in a singular competitive sport, say like tennis. Swimming, a lot of times, is a singular competitive sport because you have to do it on your own, but you're part of a team. So there's a lot of visualization and there's a lot of psychology, as y'all know, because y'all competed when you were younger. So yeah, there's a lot of things out there, and then just having the resources, if they're looking for the physical or the nutrition or the sports specific agility, there's resources out there to offer them, as well as the mindset, the psychology, the win-loss, the building the confidence, and really the self-esteem in the younger athletes. A lot of them have that because they are driven, but those that don't, that have natural talent and gifts, need that to be developed. And the only way they usually get it and they become part of it, become intuitive, is through the help and accountability or mindset or visualization. Basically, this part, the mental part of coaching, compared to what their physical gifts are and talents are, which would be their physical agility, strength, sports specific coaches. So yes, definitely, I'd love to be doing a lot of that. It doesn't matter if it's male or female either. Now, if it's a sport that I'm not necessarily as well versed in, because I'm not as well versed in hockey, as I mentioned, the key would be having the right resources to know what some of those athletes do. And that's based on my own personal research that I can learn from the outside looking in to be better prepared to help them with what I can offer them compared to what their physical and training coaches can offer them.
Tom, question.
Sure. Did being a high performance coach lead you to being a motivational speaker, or was it vice versa? Because to me, it seems like being a coach, there's a lot of motivational speaking that's kind of involved in coaching?
I actually did a lot more human resource and motivational things prior to having the opportunity to get certified as a coach. And honestly, I'll be very, very honest with you. I did not think I would pursue a lot of the speaking because I do it all the time without using it in a structured platform where it can be an offer that might be income producing for me as well as reaching larger audiences. One of my major desires, and I'll share this with you, Tom, Ed knows I love the beach. I would love to have a group of whoever it is, if it's a group of ladies, go for a walk, have an iced tea or whatever they choose to drink, go for some walks on the beach and have sessions doing that. Or sitting on a bench at a park after a walk, after a run, maybe after a bike ride, or just sitting with a group of people having conversation. It doesn't have to be in the structure of an office. Obviously, a lot of calls are done by Zoom now. Face to face is a beautiful opportunity because you really get to see their reaction. You get to feel them near you. And so as many times as I could, I would do that. And that's where a lot of the motivation comes in when you're actually maybe planning or working in a certain framework. So yes, and thank you.
Adele, I got a question. So
Yes.
if you're a person that's in that neutral stage where you're kind of put a lot of stuff off for yourself because you're focused on a schedule for whatever that is, what is the first thing that you would tell them to do positive wise, like get out and get walking first? And what's the first thing you would tell them to cut out, like sugar or your diet, or your first thing you would tell them positive and to cut out to move forward into the next step of regenerating yourself and your life? What would that be? Yeah.
The transformation that they'd like to achieve. I use the word transformation because that's basically what happens, right? It's a big word, but when people hear that word, they automatically think I can be better than who I am now, because that's a long-term goal down the road, right? The first thing I'm going to look at, and I'll respond three different ways, if you don't mind, Andy. First thing I'm going to look at is really kind of like a wellness profile with them. And I'm not talking just food or fitness. I'm talking where they are in life right now. And if one of the things they need to do is get some fresh air, they're going to go walk around the block. I'm going to tell them, just put the phone down. If you want to carry something for security, carry a house key and carry something that you can use if you have an emergency, but turn it off because you absolutely need it. And walk around the block. And every day or 5 days a week, add another block. So eventually you're out there 10 or 15 minutes. Get that away from all of the distractions. Find a happy place. That's going to be the first thing. The second thing, if I do look at the food, is going to try to really cut down on any sugar intake that they have. Sugar really affects the brain health. It affects the heart health. It affects the weight and nutrition that you're not getting. It really, y'all know that. You totally. If they're a smoker, I'm going to tell them they really need to quit. I hate smoking. I've never smoked. I'm horrible about smoking for many, many reasons. If they are a smoker, they really need to quit because they need to prolong their life and they need to improve their environment, because it's not helping them even with secondhand smoke. So those would probably be the biggest three priority things I'm going to ask them. And then I'll get into a wellness profile with the food and fitness. If they really drink a little too much on the alcoholic side, I'll ask them to start cutting back and portion control on food, alcohol intake, as well as hydration and all the other things that go in that. But those would be the three biggest things from the start.
Tom, you got another question?
Well, I'm just curious, what inspired you to become an endurance athlete? Because up here, when they have the Boston Marathon, you see a lot of stories, and it's usually people that are cancer survivors. So I was curious, that's what got you into running.
I started running in high school to supplement my performance on the tennis court. I just fell in love with it. There are very few people that are runners or triathletes that are also competitive, and I'm talking high level, championship level. that lose to someone who doesn't have the endurance base that a runner has. I was beating kids, ladies 30 years younger, because if you can't stay out for 3 or 4 hours, I can. Hey, I'm at mile 20 or 22 by that time. I'm almost finished the marathon. I've got food and beverage to last. So the key to getting into the marathon parts of my life, I ran my first marathon a month after I turned 40. I was running and started building up. Every time I had cancer surgery during those 10 years, I increased the amount of mileage I was doing. I was playing a lot of tennis. It was my sanity. Running was my sanity. It kept me alive, both mentally, physically, spiritually, everything. But because it was easy for me to do and I could release the stress and anxiety of what I was dealing with the cancer, remember I had the 2 children during those 10 years. When I was 32, I had Adam. I was 2 years into my diagnosis. I had Callie at 37. Both of them were miracles, believe me. So at 37, I literally turned 40, and my biopsy prior to my 40th birthday, the week I went in, was the first clear biopsy in 10 years. So that was December 6th, 1957. I ran the New Orleans Mardi Gras Marathon on January 17th, a month later, 1998. So my story was the running was there already, but it saved my life through those 10 years. And I could do it, so I just kept doing it. But the stories that were shared along the journey of running with friends and family, meeting people that I've met, made it that much more impactful for myself and rewarding to me, but also for those that I came in contact with, which is where I did a lot of my motivational, encouraging moments. So thank you for that question.
Ed, you have another question for Adele?
Well, I'm gonna deviate from the coaching part now. I'm gonna go into some relevant topics that I know that she'll love to do a deep dive into. So, Deli, I'm gonna let it rip. I mean, I'm just gonna say, what do you think about men and women's sports?
Okay.
You knew the
I
question
am
was coming, so I
biologically,
mean,
yeah, I am biologically female. I compete in the female category. Always have, always will. The only difference in categories I competed in were age group categories as I aged into senior running, masters, and senior age brackets in tennis, right? Okay. That being said, I will always compete and perform as a female. So my comment to that is I truly, truly believe I have no judgment. This is a non-judgment answer. I have no judgment to lifestyles and choices or changes that people make because of their choices. I do have an issue with how they compete at the minimal level, like T-ball, to elementary sports, to high school sports, to college sports, to qualified top of the world Olympic athletes. I have an issue with competing in the opposite of your biological gender. I don't think it's fair to either side because of the physical, hormonal, chemical makeup that you receive in your biological gender at birth. Did I say it nicely?
Yeah. No,
You did.
I
That
was
was very
saying,
polite, Adele.
Okay. I mean, I've got to watch the ethics here, right, guys?
right, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but Adele, you don't have a human resources department, so
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I'm building a business and coaching as well, and motivation.
there is that.
So this is the deal. This is the honest to God deal. I'm looking at Olympic athletes. I'm looking at my grandsons, who are 5 and 12, competing in Little League or, youth soccer, and the older ones getting ready to go to junior high now. My problem with that issue is you see it's so sensationalized in the media that it's now become a huge issue. And I have a problem when I go to enter a race or whatever that says male, female. It's like I always check my gender for competitive races or whatever I was doing. And now there's 6 different categories. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you're a male, you're a male. If you're a female, you're a female. That's the bottom line, right? And I look at it that way. So I should compete against females. If I choose to compete against in the male division, then I'm challenging myself. Okay, I have no problem with that. But if I'm changing and making notoriety of it and using it as a platform and taking it to this exponential level, I'm still a biological female. That's where I should compete, and that's where my results will make a difference. If I want to challenge to see if I can beat a male at something or ride faster on my bike, that's my own personal challenge. That's not going into the media. It's not being sensationalized. And I just have a real issue because of the physical, biological, mental, chemical, you name it, basis of the difference in biological genders.
That's a great answer. It's a great, you tiptoed around everything. It's a great answer though, because you checked all the boxes. No pun intended with that. But I gotta, this is more of a Gen X question, and Adele is in our age demographic for this question. I struggle with this as an older dad of two preteen kids, 10 and 12. Where did we go so far off the path of sports in the 70s and 80s to where it is now, the wussification of sports, the not being allowed to be just a regular dude? Like, what I mean by that is, when I was a kid, you're drawn to certain athletes or pop culture people or something that you think is cool as a kid. We didn't have social media back then, so it was television driven. I thought Evel Knievel was the coolest guy on the planet at one time. You hear all the stories after how he was, but as a kid, you're going, wow, this guy's awesome. Where did we go wrong as a society from going from the Burt Reynolds, that era to where we are now, where, you can't even be a guy anymore. You have to be just vanilla.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
So I believe a lot of it has to do with the lack of accountability and the lack of people not being told no, and the lack of letting people make mistakes or not make the all-star team or not make the team at all. Right? It's okay to not do everything, but the accountability and the accepting of everybody deserves a trophy for participation. I got that. Okay. All right. You want to do that. I did that in the swimming arena. My daughter swam most of her life. And these little bitty children are not fast, but all they want is a little ribbon or a little trophy. But as they get older, they earn that first place ribbon. They're not given a first place ribbon. They earn that high point winning trophy for the league or the championships. They earn that coach's award for sportsmanship and community and service to their teammates. Not everybody gets it. So not everybody should. So my way of thinking right now and looking at education when I was there, they used paddles when I was coming up. And I'm telling you, they used paddles. And I don't believe in them, but they used them. You had people out there teaching you right from wrong, 2 + 2 = 4. And that's the way it always is. The value system has changed to be too accommodating. And I don't believe everybody should be the all-star. I have been the all-star, and I have not been the all-star. I have been president of everything, and then I'm not. I know what it takes to achieve the pinnacle, whether it's a position as a director or being voted president of the student council, which is only one that year in the entire universe. That was me. Okay, I had that privilege. I used that platform. But the deal is that the accountability from the coaches and the parents is not there anymore. And you're seeing it in education too. So you're not being supplemented in the education arena to teach the athletes that are participating. Let's just take the high school level of sports. If they don't make the grade, they shouldn't be allowed to participate in anything. A club, a sport cheerleading, band, anything. We had those accountability markers. If you didn't have a B average and maintain that time management for your studies, your practice, your competition events, you didn't do it. And you were supported at home by the parents. That's what the school rules were. That's what the school parameters were. You didn't get a letter just because you sat the bench. You got a letter because you were able to practice, participate, and be part of a team. You gave something to part of that team. If you did an individual sport, you still had to show up for your practice. You still had to make your commitment. And whether you came first place, second place, third place, or last, if you showed up every day and you did what was required and you kept that 3.0 average, then you had the opportunity to get a letter and potentially a letter jacket. If you didn't, you don't get it. So I don't believe that everybody deserves the awards. And I don't believe everybody should make the team. And the accountability factor is huge. And I also believe that parental influence has been a major negative factor in the last 2 decades compared to the positive factor it was as a support to a coach, or participation as a coach, or participation as a team support person, like bring the snacks, help the coach make the phone calls for practices or cancel practices or traveling arrangements. Help the coach do that because the coach is out there making arrangements to teach these kids how to develop both as an athlete, but as a qualified, important, service, community-oriented child into an adult. Nowadays, you don't have that to the same degree. You have it, but it's more recognized on the negative end.
Before I kick another question to Tom, I just want to say I agree. Real quick, I don't want to get on a diatribe with the whole thing, but you're setting these kids up to fail because when you get into the real world, let's just say there's one job. Two people go for that job. One person's going to get it. One person's going to be butthurt. That's just how it is. They don't create a new job for the person that didn't get the job. That's just like a participation trophy. You don't get something. You competed for one job, one person. There's a winner and a loser, and that's it. Any championship, there's a loser. Your second place is, first loser. That's what they say. And then how you deal with it has changed too. You have people that are able to brush it off and move on and try harder or try something else or try something different. And it's no big deal. It's just a win and a loss. Then you have people that have to be medicated because they can't cope with something that's that big or small in their life. That's what I have a problem with. And I think setting up the kids with participation trophies long-term is a bad metaphor for what you're going to deal with in life. So, Thomas, question to follow that up.
Sure, it's kind of totally off topic, but I saw on your bio, you're an LSU girl. So my question is, are you a Nick Saban girl or are you a Les Miles girl?
Okay, let me explain that right off the bat. I chose the Saints shirt on purpose because we're getting into the football season. Les Miles is a character. I think he did a lot of good things, but he also had some skeletons in the back closet. Nick Saban, I respect him. I respect what he's done as a coach. Nobody liked him when he left LSU. He took a national championship, but I will tell you this. He took a lot of great memories. He didn't put up with a lot of crap from athletes that didn't pull their weight, like just talking about. And he made something of those guys. When you went to Alabama, I don't know if y'all saw the SB Awards and his reception of the Icon Award. His speech recognized his year at LSU, which was the very end of his speech, but it recognized what he accomplished in creating men, not just athletes. And I respect him for what he's done in that arena. Now, will I wear Alabama or encourage anybody I know to go to Alabama? No. There's only one school, and it's LSU. But I do respect him a lot more than I respect Les Miles, post Miles' contribution to the success of the LSU program. Because he did do some things that I don't agree with that allowed athletes to still participate. And then it took them 3 tries, 3 strikes, you're out. I'll give you a prime example. Tyrann Matthews had everything going for him. He's now a Saint. He'll finish his career as a Saint. That boy has some issues. He was given a second chance by Les Miles, and then he was gone.
Mhm.
But that boy took with it. He had a great family background and support. He went to St. Aug High School here, which is a Catholic, Black, all boys Catholic school here. They don't put up with any crap. Les Miles gave him 2 chances. He was gone. He made a really good name for himself professionally as an athlete, but a better name for himself in the last few years as a leader of his team. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's made a better name for himself in the community as a service-oriented individual, using his money, fame, and platform to create men and women who of character and service beyond their talent and skill as an athlete. That to me says a lot from make the mistakes, lose what he created, and take it to a different level.
My takeaway from that, Adele, is you're saying that Alabama is a participation trophy. Is that what you're saying with that? Just, can we quote you on that?
No, don't quote me on that because I don't think Nick Saban kept the ones who weren't performing. He
Okay.
just took it. He had a really great program there that they thrived in. So I got to give him credit. He's got some great guys.
All right. I just got to keep it moving. I just, that was my takeaway from. I'm like, oh, well, okay. This lady hates the whole state of Alabama. Good to know.
They have a Buc-ee's in Alabama. I stop at it all the time.
I just went to my first Buc-ee's recently, and
Okay.
Oh man, it was like going into the cantina in Star Wars. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
Where was it? Where was it?
South Carolina, near south of the border, down that way. We were going to Charleston. What a ride that was! Oh my God, from here down to there, it was like 14 hours in a car. Not fun.
The smell alone is horrible.
Oh, I had hockey equipment in my car too, so that didn't help. Ed, any more questions?
I got one last one. Deli, who's the best quarterback, Tom Brady or Drew Brees?
My boyfriend Drew Brees. My boyfriend Drew Brees. My boyfriend.
We
He's my
didn't say-
boyfriend.
We didn't say shirts off. We just said
I got to go with Drew. I mean, he's got 1 Super Bowl ring, but the stuff he did, the numbers he put up. I mean, Tom Brady's a great guy. He's the GOAT. I give him credit for that. But my next number 9, because my favorite number is 9 from when I was a little girl. Drew just happened to wear my number. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has the makings of a Drew Brees career if he can stay in Drew. He's got the character. He's got the character for that. So
Thomas, do you have any questions?
No, I'm everything was answered.
So the greatest number 9 of all time is Gordie Howe. So that's
I'll go with you there. I'll go with you there.
it's got to be. Anyways, Adele, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again.
I'll come back.
Hopefully we can, if you get the podcast going, maybe we can cross promote, work on something that way behind the scenes and see what we can get going. You can reach out to Ed. You can reach out to me, but I want everybody to know how to reach out to you and, promote whatever you need to as far as getting in touch with you or any coaching or any other questions that they have through this podcast. Hopefully we can, get some eyes on you and help you out with that. So
That would be great. What I have right now, because I'm setting up the link stuff to the calendar and everything. Right now, I'm on Facebook, which is Adele Bonifaz, not Lassus. And then I have my email, which you can post my email if you want in the link. And that would be the best way right now. And you can direct message me once you do the Facebook link. And that's the easiest way right now while I'm setting up the other business part of it technologically.
She is definitely challenged there.
Well, if you have any questions on that, you can always reach out. I can help you out with that.
I would love you to. Thank you so much.
I'm continuing with the learning of this whole podcasting world. So, I just want to say thanks. Thanks from the guys. Thank you for the positivity that you brought to the interview, the story. I'm sure that it's really deeper than just, a quick our interview that we've done, and hopefully we can have you back on and yuck it up a little bit. And we're at our best when we are what I'd like to call chirping and telling stories about certain things that we have to color within that thin line that we have on this platform. But yeah, I just go ahead.
I do appreciate everything. I appreciate your time. I love my Ed. We try to get together. I'm going to be in Destin, about an hour away from him, in October, and I already told him he's got to get Elizabeth to come and have dinner with my significant other, and I will be down there for a week, or I'll take a drive down there. But
What the hell is that?
he gets his birthday dinner every year, and we took him for his 50th birthday to have really good food in Bay St. Louis when he was still in the Gulfport area in Mississippi, and it was a lot of
for she and Larry do it.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. You guys, I got to feed him. He's down south.
See,
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
What I got to say before we leave, and this is the thing. I'm mad because I've known this guy almost my whole life, and I didn't even know he had a girlfriend or her name was Elizabeth. What the hell is going on here?
I guess that has to be edited out.
Oh, geez. It's not getting edited out. They're all done now. He's all done. You forget about it. When Brad gets on here and the Phantom, they're going to rip him up. I know it. I know it. It's
Ed, I'm not going to apologize.
There's no need to.
Jeez. Next thing you're going to tell me the guy shoots blanks, and we didn't even know that either.
That I don't know yet. Okay, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing you can't figure out. You that's all. So
Thank y'all so much, guys. I appreciate it. Let
Adele,
me know. Shoot me a text when y'all are going to be airing this, and that way I'll get my family.
Absolutely.
We will.
Okay.
What?
Thank you so much,
Adele.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Deli.
So, friend of the show, I'd like to say she's going forward. I see her on, the Facebook page, liking, subscribing, doing all that stuff. She gained points with me. I'll tell you where she gained points with me. When she knew, being from the Mid-South area, when she knew who the Junkyard Dog was, when he was the Junkyard Dog. So, Adele, points for the JYD from you to me. So we're going to, I guess, that's it this week. We're going to do our quick shout out and call it a night, fellas. I got a lot of editing to do and a lot more hockey to attend. Grinding it out. We're grinding. Got the new jersey in back of me. Thomas loves it. That's this tournament jersey. Boston Lady Whalers in the playoffs tomorrow. Got shit to do. So, I don't know. Does that count as my shout out? I don't know. Maybe. Could be. Possibly. But it could be a shout out, right? Maybe. We get
It's the benefit of being your show. You can do what you want.
Some say. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, though, Thomas, to be honest. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I can do what I want. Sometimes I feel like I'm shackled. Like I should be, singing some old song from the South, something like that. Some kind of something. So, Ed, how about a shout out this week? Make it good.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to shout out to Adele. Adele, thanks for coming on the show. We love to have you. It was wonderful. We're going to definitely have you back. It was wonderful. And I hope our listeners check her out. She's on Facebook. Hit her up. She is wonderful working with, especially young athletes and that type of thing. She will make you want to feel like you want to go through a stone wall. And she's wonderful. Second thing, stayed in Tallahassee this past weekend. Went through the campus of Florida State, especially going to I'm a small school guy. And to go to that place.
Like a special school kind of guy.
Well, I didn't ride on the small bus. So, anyway, went to Florida State this past week, walked around. What a beautiful campus. And the stadium is just massive. And they're doing some wonderful improvements. And it's just a beautiful campus. And everybody around the campus was very friendly. And to see the guys coming in from workouts, like if you don't realize how big people are and these guys are in the SEC, until you see them without pads on, with just cleats on, these dudes are big dudes, man, and they're getting after it. So, ACC, SEC, there's some big boys down there.
You weren't hanging
So,
around the
it's a good
showers
time.
though, Ed.
No, I was actually outside. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Just we have to disclaim that. We have to 100% transparency, just in case somebody says this video, somebody was hanging around. Okay.
Yeah, I don't roll that way.
Okay, we don't need content for the show like that, Ed.
Nope.
As usual, True North. Here we go. The professor is going to close us out this week. Thomas, make it good.
All right, I got a shout out for my niece Taylor. She's been under the weather, and turns out she had to have her gallbladder removed yesterday, so she's going to be on the mend for a couple weeks. Feel better, kid.
That's it. That's all we got.
That's it.
All right.
all I got.
So, another episode, another week. You never know who's going to show up week to week. A lot of ins and outs. Football season's coming. Got a lot of special guests. Probably going to bring back a couple of people during football season and have at it. Let them get in the mix with some picks. And, we're going back to what we do. So from us to you, buy some shit. Like and subscribe. What all these kids are saying you don't have to sell that stuff. Just buy some stuff. Support your boys. Get out there. Wear some
Buy a
nice-
mug, buy a t-shirt, buy the book. I mean, buy something. Come on.
Buy an apron so you can feel like Chris. You might be able to cook like Chris if you buy an apron. We got that. We got Tom Shitty picks, dog bandanas. Buy some stuff. And if you buy something, post it on the page. We'd love to see it. That's what I want to see. I want to see our fans buying stuff, supporting the podcast. We'll put you on the podcast. We'll put you on the show. It's like a love fest. Join the army. It's like the old KISS army. We'll send you the fan club stuff. We'll make you member number one's taken. It's already taken. Darren's got that all wrapped up. It's from 2 on. So be a member, buy some stuff, show your support, show it around the rink, show it around the schools, show it around wherever, the workplace, even better in the workplace. I'd love that. That's great. So from us to you, we're out.
See ya.